I'm Dr. George Ackerman, Sharon's son, George, or better known as we started together for Sharon.com to help bring together a lot of resources for individuals in the Parkinson's community, whether diagnosed or caretakers. I myself really felt alone, confused, and lost at times when going through a journey as a caretaker with my mother, who unfortunately passed on 1/1/2020 due to Parkinson. So, really just out there working hard on awareness. I don't want others to feel alone like I did, and I want you to know that you're never alone out there. I'm always going to be out there fighting for you and on behalf of all individuals in the Parkinson's community until we find a cure. So today I'm going to just put up these slides and really just talk a little bit about Parkinson's awareness. So give me one moment. Hopefully you'll be able to see these slides. And again, I'm doing this solo, so there's hopefully you do see them because I can't tell. So again, Together for Sharon, I started uh, when my mother passed, really not thinking it would become anything, big, more just to remember my mother. But then I learned how many individuals around the world, not just in the US, are affected by Parkinson's disease, caretakers and those diagnosed, and thought, why not, make this about everybody? It's not just about our journey anymore. So I put this PowerPoint presentation together, really just to let you know a little bit more what Together for Sharon is and the journey in Parkinson's awareness and hope for a cure. So the first slide, I might have to do this entire lecture in different parts. There's so many slides, and they really do just continue. It's not just what I have today, because I'm always learning new areas and new topics. So we started Together for Sharon as a family for the purpose of keeping my mother's memory alive and to share the message of Parkinson's awareness and hope for a cure. And this is a picture of the website. If you log on, now it changes colors. It's always updating. So hopefully this stays really what the general look is of our website. But if you want to take a look, feel free to head over to togetherforsharon.com. Next slide is 3, Parkinson's disease. My goal is not really just to present this today about individuals in the Parkinson's community, but I really want it to be out there for those who don't have Parkinson's or might not be caretakers. We need everybody, the whole population involved, or that's the best way, in my opinion, the key to success and to help find a cure. So I've done a little research. My background again is law enforcement. I have a PhD, but I also am an attorney. So it helped a little bit with researching areas. The Mayo Clinic Parkinson's disease is a progressive disorder that affects the nervous system and the parts of the body controlled by the nerves. Symptoms start slowly. The first symptom may be a barely noticeable tremor in just one hand. That's an example of my mother. She had a lot of difficulty in her left arm. It was stiff, had trouble eating her meals towards the later stages, and that's a big symptom for my family. But they start slowly, and tremors are often common, but the disorder may also cause stiffness or slowing of movement. Also, in the early stages, according to the Mayo Clinic, I also provide references at the end of this PowerPoint. But here, you face, or your face may show little or no expression. Arms may not swing when individual walks, and speech can be slurred or soft. Parkinson's disease symptoms worsen as the condition progresses, and that's the one important point. Again, is it just really affects every individual differently. What happened to my mother, her stages, and what happened through her journey is much different than everyone else. That's why Parkinson's, in my view, is a very difficult disease to treat, but there are many options out there if diagnosed properly and early. So these are just some significant areas and factors. Also, I'm not a medical doctor, so I'll never advise on medical issues. I will only talk about my experience as a caretaker and my mother's she was diagnosed. Slide 4, again, diagnosis. No lab test to diagnose yet. A review of medical history. There's a neurological exam done, and symptoms are done over time. Same thing that with my mother. Unfortunately, my mother was very independent, which is good, but the bad part is she didn't want to tell anyone what she had or what she was going through until it was almost towards the end when I discovered more health issues, and she was really rapidly declining, and I had to jump in and step in. And that's when I took over a lot of her normal independent routines, which she wasn't able to do at that point. Slide 5, potential treatment. So again, with a hope for a cure, which my hope is that we have a cure, is there are treatments out there. And again, not every one of them is acceptable for each person. Everyone's different. We have medications, and we also have deep brain stimulation. And that's a very famous one. Again, not everybody's a candidate. We have physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and again, the medication differ. But my mother, unfortunately, towards the last stage, physical therapy wasn't even allowed because once you go on, we had long-term hospice, and once you go on that long-term hospice, they don't believe in physical therapy, which I disagree with. Therapy gives people hope and helps you continue to move and helps decrease the speed and rapidness of the progression of the disease, in my experience. But that's just their beliefs for the end of life organizations. Now we move to 6 symptoms. Again, tremor in hands, arms, legs, jaw, or head, muscle stiffness, where muscle remains contracted for a long time. My mother also had dyskinesia, where there's the curling of the toes, the slowness of movement, and impaired balance and coordination, which is a big issue because if you fall, that'll lead to other major problems, hip injuries. My mother did fall once, luckily it was on the bed, so she might have scraped her knee, but that was it for the falls, unless there were some that she didn't share or tell us, which was also another problem. Some causes on slide 7 of PD, nerve cells in the certain specific areas of the brain that normally control movement can be impaired or die. These nerve cells, neurons, produce an important brain chemical known as dopamine, which is really the famous area that most medications are geared towards. When neurons die or become impaired, they produce less dopamine, which causes the movement problems associated with the disease. And again, scientists still working on this, and this is some of the major areas of research that we hope will come to help find a cure. Slide 8, the Mayo Clinic again, one of the experts in the world. And you can see here, I won't read them. You can feel free to download the slides on my website, togetherforsharon.com. Everything's free. But you'll see tremors. My mother had that. She had more internal, she didn't have external. So you might not even see her shaking, whereas other individuals might show the outside external tremor. She had more internal. Slow movement, rigid muscles, impaired posture balance, loss of automatic movements, speech changes, and writing changes, which become more difficult. Slide 9, I mean, I could do an entire presentation, I believe, on financial burden. We had a huge burden, and we spent about $12,000 a month only on caregiving assistance. That doesn't count, food, shelter, and normal caregiving responsibilities that come with an individual going through this. Also, my mother needed 24-hour care. The final year of her fight with Parkinson's disease was probably one of the most troublesome and also tough because of all the every day. Honestly, it felt like something different, another issue or problem, and I tried so hard to combat these, but just didn't have answers, for everything. She needed 24-hour care the last year because of her health reasons. And again, the 12,000 my family spent a month didn't even include food, shelter, and living expenses, which was added. Again, this is a big problem now that Michael J. Fox Foundation is working on new legislation to end Parkinson's disease. You can look that up on togetherforsharon.com or do a general search on the internet. But these are important areas because if we can gain a end Parkinson's disease bill passes bipartisan, then there might be more financial help for those families and individuals diagnosed with Parkinson's. Slide 10, our journey. I'm currently working on a book myself on our journey, but my mother was only 69 when she passed. It's way too young. So I feel like, she was taken from us too early. I had a lot of plans for her. I wanted her to have a beautiful 10 years sitting in her backyard on the water, just relaxing with her grandkids. But, again, it was taken from us. She passed on 1/1/2020. She was surrounded by her loved ones. Unfortunately, also, we don't have the time today, but to talk about end of life care, death with dignity. I'm in Florida. We don't have that law. The last 7 days of her life, she really was just breathing, but didn't have ability to speak uh, or acknowledge anyone. So the last 7 days were something I've never seen and hope no one ever has to go through. But we need to work on our laws. We don't want to treat our animals better than our loved ones. But some of the laws, unfortunately, today, that's really what it is. She was born September 28th, 1950. I'm from originally Brooklyn, New York. My grandfather, Pauline, and George Riff. She had two children. That's me, George, and my brother, Andrew. Mother graduated from Brooklyn College. She was very into education, which is why I have several degrees, likely because of her really push for education. Her master's degree was in education, but she also studied psychology. She was a teacher for several years and dedicated her time raising her sons, including me, myself. She moved to South Florida to be with her mother, Pauline, my grandmother, and her sister, Ellen, my aunt. My mother led a life of care, very positive to anyone she met. Her life revolved around her family and friends. She loved spending time with us and her grandkids. Every weekend she visited my house. We had dinner. We used to argue. It was funny about what to eat. No one could decide what to order, but we all argued over it. I don't know. Even now, look back, you have to cherish the time you have and not argue over nonsense. But it was something I laugh every time I think about. And she just loved being with her grandkids, my kids. She always brought them bubbles on Sundays, blue bubbles together, colored books, and really big again on education. She was a mentor to everyone, my wife, her daughter-in-law, Greta, and very proud of everybody's accomplishments. And I don't think I would be who I am today if it wasn't for my mother and her sacrifices. Uh, Slide 11 talks a little bit about my story. This is more of the caregiver side. And again, I wanted to honor my mother and continue to help in the Parkinson's cause. And I wasn't sure how to bring change. So you really have to just put it all together yourself and just get out there. Again, I'm working on a book, slide 12 here, Caretaker's Journey, some of the life lessons. If you're on social media, feel free to follow us. It's really me. I just try to get out there, get the word. Again, we want nothing in return. I don't accept money. I don't want anything. All I want is a cure and for everyone to know that I send my love and my support 24/7. There's some nights I don't sleep, just thinking about ways to help get the word out there and get these legislators going and get funding and find a cure. I never plan on caretaking. I learned as I went. And really, I could get Parkinson's too. We're not sure the genetics or why someone might get it, but I'm in reality, and my mother had it. There's a chance I could, so I'm going to keep fighting. Now, slide 13, Parkinson's awareness. To me, it's really my life now. I worked a lot of fields and helped a lot of people, but I put Parkinson's awareness first now. According to the Webster's Dictionary, Parkinson's, or actually the word awareness, is the quality or state of being aware. So knowledge and understanding that something is happening or exists. And that's the problem. If people don't know something's happening, aren't aware, then it's hard to move forward with progress to find a cure. 14, the tulip. This is a big symbol. And actually, I don't know if you can see it here. I wear it everywhere I go. And here it is right here on my. And it's really, again, for awareness. It's the tulip. According to Parkinson's News Today, reports several years ago that the red tulip was adopted by the global Parkinson's community, and I have a photo, a picture of it, to bring awareness to the disease. So when I get dressed up, suit, tie, or even not, I wear it every function I go to, even if it's not Parkinson's related. The red tulip with a fringe of white became the official symbol of Parkinson's disease at the 9th World Parkinson's Disease Day Conference. And this is all the way back in 2005. However, this tulip has been associated with awareness since 1980. It was developed here, you can see a little bit more, named the flower after James Parkinson, the first doctor who described the disease as the shaking palsy. So for you history lovers like myself, feel free to research that further on the internet. Slide 15, again, I'm just touching on these. I could probably do one of these presentations for every single slide. I have a whole series, so maybe in the future we'll do something like that. But for advocacy, again, I advocate 24/7. Advocacy is the promotion of an idea to influence thoughts or behaviors, often on behalf of another person or group. And that's what I am doing in my life. Goal now is to advocate for awareness, Parkinson's community caretakers, and also those diagnosed. I mentioned earlier, slide 16, the news flash. And here's a picture of the actual act. But I want to thank the Michael J. Fox Foundation, my congresswoman, and all congressmen out there. If you're listening to this, you can reach out to your local representatives. And I was able to speak to my representative about my mother, our journey, and how important this legislation is. It might not help my family, but it will help millions of others out there, well, the million in the US. But it also sends an important message how important it is to find a cure. Michael J. Fox Foundation is leading the way on this. I advocate for awareness, as my whole family was thrown into the battle and we lost our war in a way, our own personal one, on 1/1/2020 when my mother was passed. I've been lucky enough to have some attention. I don't ask for it, but it's really more about the Parkinson's community. My own community, I'm again in South Florida, I was able to gain proclamations to name both in the city and in a county. I spoke in front of the county commission on behalf of Parkinson's awareness, but now Palm Beach, for a specific day a year, recognizes that day in our county and city, the Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month. So this meant a lot. Here you can see some of the beautiful proclamations that they gave us. We have them hung up in my office. There's also a lot of networking. One problem I found is there's so many great organizations, but I just couldn't find them all. And they're all over, separated, different people. So on togetherforsharon.com, I just put all the resources of some of the most important organizations out there who are raising awareness. PD Avengers, head by Larry Gifford, and also a vast array of other amazing individuals are out there. They hold monthly meetings, but do some incredible things for the Parkinson's community. So please look up PD Avengers, and we also link to them from togetherforsharon.com. Again, I mentioned earlier, social media. I have a lot of different areas. They're always changing. First it was Twitter, now it's X. So after this presentation's out, I'm sure they'll have a new one. But it's important that we all keep posting, keep sharing, and we're all in this for a family, and we just have to keep fighting. Slide 20, I don't accept donations, but we do help other organizations, and I can't list them all, there's just so many. It's also the Davis Finney Foundation, the Brian Grant Foundation, but we have, I reached out to these three specific when I was going through our journey, and it was tough because there really wasn't a lot in my area, South Florida, but the American Parkinson's Disease Association did show up at my mother's house. Unfortunately, by that time, there wasn't a lot we could do. She was already sick, but they did offer programs like support and different boxing type moving events. And again, we couldn't do it, but it was really an honor to have, and meant a lot to me that they showed up when we needed them in very dark times. So I always thank them. We've helped raise about $10,000 now in 4 years for them. We've helped raise about 3,000 or 4,000 for Parkinson's Foundation and over 1,000 for Michael J. Fox. So always support them. You can also go to the website, togetherforsharon.com, click fundraising, and it'll go right to them. Again, it won't go to me because we have nothing to do with accepting money. We do not. Slide 21, as we move closer towards the end today, I want to thank everyone again for your support. And Together for Sharon Band, I have it here somewhere. Even Parky was wearing it. See, Parky's here from the World Parkinson's Congress. He's always supporting me. But we created this band. It was really out of nowhere. I mean, my mother passed really out of nowhere because I was told you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it, but she didn't have any other medical issues. And when she passed, we had a funeral. Wanted to make a little memory or a little band to give just to the people at the funeral, and it was really amazing how many people showed up. And I took a picture with the band on, and actually it's right here. This is the band on my mic. And people are private, and I respect that, and I also like to be private. So I just put the band on, and I started going places like Disney. I went to the basketball court, I went to shopping, and I would take a picture of my hand, and I wouldn't be in it, so you wouldn't see my face. It would be my hand with the band in different locations. Well, somehow it went viral, and it was beautiful. I mean, there were probably 3,000 individuals around the U.S. wearing it, even in England and Canada. And it just was, we even had some celebrities somehow found it and posted on their social media. That died down a little just because it was very costly for me. So we only hand them out now live when we do events. We don't really mail them. But I just want to thank again everyone for their support. But this is really just to help Parkinson's awareness and remember my mother forever. Something I found important was, again, not just about my mother and my journey anymore. It was about everybody. So I knew there was a Parkinson's community and people out there, but I wanted their voices to also be heard. So it's now 11/17/2023. Not sure when you're listening to this recording, but I've in just 3 months, I've interviewed 350 people. These are people from foundations like Michael J. Fox, Parkinson's Foundation, Brian Graham Foundation, also to those diagnosed, also to celebrities, family members. Like I've had an honor to speak with Muhammad Ali's daughter. She's an incredible person. And also individuals like care partners, caretakers. So it's not just about even Parkinson's, it's also dementia. My mother had hallucinations and delusions, which were really frightening, honestly. And might have, I mean, every time I mention another slide, I think of another topic maybe I'll do a presentation on, but those are, tough things to do when you feel alone and don't know what resources are out there. You can also share your journey if you're listening to this. If you go to the website, click on interviews, and then share your journey. And it just comes to me, and I'll reach out to you if you're interested. As we start to kind of wrap up here, thanks again for joining me. We started a podcast. It's my wife and I, and it's really just called A Conversation on Awareness. So we only have one a month. I've been doing a few more. They're not easy to put together just due to technical issues and time, but I want to thank all our guests for coming and future guests too. But we really just try to focus on one person in the Parkinson's community and really just help promote them. And I hate to say wing it, but my wife and I, my mother's daughter-in-law, Greta, and I just get on, we speak to the guests, and we really just have a conversation, nothing planned. So if you have time, feel free to go to togetherforsharon.com and check out, if you click media and then podcasts, you'll actually see all different podcasts that I do around the world. And also our podcast, the Together for Sharon podcast, and other newspapers and journals and TV. It's really amazing how this has gone, and I owe it all to you. Next area is hope for a cure. Again, I believe every one of us listening to this, it's not just about my family. We're all family in this fight together. We all come together. Our voices are just so much stronger. Whereas it's just me, I'm only one son, one person who lost their mother, my best friend, to Parkinson's. But when we join together, it's just incredible how powerful our voices are. So thank you for that. And this is another, the ribbon of Parkinson's. We'll never stop advocating and fighting until there is a cure. More a lighter slide, if you visit togetherforsharon.com, you'll see Bella. And that's our dog. Unfortunately, my mother missed meeting her. She would have loved her. But, we all need support too as caregivers. So I do recommend animals, but it's a lot of, it's a big undertaking. But having an animal is somebody you can count on, rely on, and we believe she's our mascot, and Mom would have loved her. So that's Bella. That'll conclude my presentation today. but I'm always around, literally 24/7. This stuff means the world to me and close to my heart. The only people that break my heart are the ones I never got to meet or share their journey. So if that's you, feel free to reach out. There's the website, my email. This just goes to me. Together for Sharon is not a company. It's not anything. It's just me. It's just one person. So it might look like we're doing a lot more, but it's just me. So I appreciate everyone's patience. And then finally, I provided some references too. So these are posted, these slides on my website. I'm going to also add this presentation. Maybe this is the first of many. Please write me if you did listen today and let me know if you enjoyed it, if you have any other topics you want me to talk about. But I could do these, a lot if I see a lot of interest. But even if there is no interest, I want to thank you anyway for your time today. And, I'm just sending my love, my support, and that, again, there's going to be someone, specifically me, but out there, always think of you, sending love, and going to continue to fight 24/7 till we have a cure. So thank you again. This is Dr. Ackerman signing off, and but not for too long. I have to get right back at awareness. And thank you again. Have a great night.